in my domain, got the whole crowd screaming out our name. It's a blowout, it's a hurricane, it's over before you know it. While you shaking, we're a dynasty in the making. We're the royalty, now we're breaking down the enemy. Move over for the soldiers. Take a swing, I can take a hit. If we die, it's fine, we live for this. It's all for this. We're gonna stand on top with our hands in the sky. Gonna raise our cup to the stadium lights. For the glory, for the glory. We celebrate with the city tonight. Hear the hometown cheer, it's the ultimate high. For the glory, we do it for the glory.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we continue on Season 2 of the NCRA TaxSlayer Truck Series. Race number 14 getting set to get underway here tonight. And after tonight's race, we've only got 6 more regular season races until we determine the 8 drivers that will be in those 8 limited playoff positions here in our TaxSlayer Truck Series chase for the championship. Last week at Arizona, if there was any doubt, it has been quelled. O Pollard is definitely going to be in the playoffs, picking up his 3rd win of the season at the Arizona Speedway. Comes into tonight's race as well in the hunt to maybe be leaving Iowa with the points lead. We're going to have to wait and see. But we're getting set here for the run of the M&M's 200, presented by Casey's General Store. And on the pole position is going to be the rookie in the 43, Heather Gallant. Now, Gallant has 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s, 20th in the points coming into this race. If she can find victory lane tonight for the first time in her career, she could very well put herself up in position for one of those 8 playoff spots. But right now, those 8 playoff positions are held by former winners from this season. And there are 2, 3, 4 drivers that have wins this season that are outside of those 8 driver playoff grid. Right now, the playoffs grid would currently look as follows. 3-time winner O Pollard would have the number 1 seed. Defending champion and 2-time winner Nick Johnson would have the number 2 seed. And then the other 6 slots filled by drivers that have 1 win this season. Nathan Stapleton, Tony Green, Patrick Curtis, Sky Commons, Ace Garcia, and Jake Smith. Now, Smith comes into this race 13th in points. The other drivers that have 1 win this season are 19th in points, 29th in points, and 36th in the standings. That is PJ Williams, who really needs to get back in the top 30 to even have a ghost of a shot of his win this season, counting towards a playoff position. So right now, everybody that would like to find victory lane for the first time this season, they're targeting Jake Smith, who right now would hold that final and 8th playoff position. But take a look up here at the front of the field at all the drivers we've got that have not won yet this season, and with a track that track position really counts for, have good starting track position here tonight. We talked about Heather Gallant. How about Alex Hawkins there for Qualls Gardner Racing? He's not got a win yet this season. Ryan Acosta rolling off there from 3rd. Easton Barber 4th. LaPlante from 5th. Lagasee from 6th. All these drivers still looking to put a 1 in their win column this season, and they could very well do it here tonight and shake up the playoff standings. Let's go down track so I get those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
Command is given. These drivers will roll off of pit road, and while they do that, we're going to give you your top 10 the point standings coming into tonight's event. Nathan Stapleton comes in as the points leader, only 3 points in hand over our Darlington race winner Tony Green. After his 3rd win last week, O Pollard is only 10 points back in the 3rd position in the standings. Patrick Curtis, he is in 4th. Jack Lagasee currently 5th. Paul Minnick is 6th, Sky Commons 7th, and the rest of the top 10 of the points completed by Angel Olvera in 8th, Henry Williams in 9th, and Melody Baker completing the top 10. There's actually a tie between Melody Baker and Hillary Sanchez for 10th in the standings. A little bit of an idea of what this track can do. The inaugural winner last season was Marcus Saachi, who eventually went on to be in the hunt for the Final Four for the championship, finished 3rd overall in the standings. So we'll see who goes to victory lane here tonight. Guaranteed a new winner here tonight at Iowa. As the green flag is in the air, we're underway. Let's roll. Inside line kicks in very early. Drivers that rolled off first, third, and fifth now are first, second, and third. Gallant, Acosta, and LaPlante. Outside pole sitter Alex Hawkins going to slot into the fourth position. And Heather Gallant looks in the rearview mirror and sees nothing but ThorSport, the 27 and the 98, both teammates. ThorSport at this point has 2 wins this year, both coming courtesy of the defending champion Nick Johnson. Not to say that the other drivers for the team haven't had good runs. Of course, A Olvera was a former points leader this season, currently 8th in the standings coming into this race. Second place running Ryan Acosta actually gained 6 spots in the points after last week at Arizona, is 15th in the standings coming into this race. So ThorSport has not had a horrible overall season, but they've only had one of their drivers go to victory lane. It looks like we may have a battle for second place before we have a battle for the lead. Austin LaPlante has reeled in his teammate Ryan Acosta. Takes a peek to the inside there. Can't quite get to the left rear quarter panel. Iowa considered a short track by many, so these drivers may be approaching this track as a short track, and we could potentially see the bump and run at some point of this race. Talked about P.J. Williams coming into this race 36th in the point standings. His win wouldn't even count towards a playoff spot right now. Well, he's slotted right there in that 5th position. And keep in mind, Marcus Aachi, when he won the inaugural Iowa race here last season, it was in a Toyota for, guess what team? Flickinger Racing Development, the same team P.J. Williams drives for. So if P.J. Williams can go to victory lane here tonight, or his teammate Zach Winkle, then Flickinger Racing Development will have won both of our events so far here in the TaxSlayer Truck Series at Iowa Speedway. Right behind him, you got the rookie Jake Smith, who comes in probably with the most pressure. He is the driver that is in that 8th and final playoff position right now, currently with the way the standings are. So he's looking for one of two things. He's either looking for a second win to give him some insurance, or he's looking for at least a consistent run to keep him ahead of other drivers that have one win this season. Tristan Allen right there. He is, at this current point in time, the only driver from Top Gun Racing that hasn't gone to victory lane. So far, Top Gun Racing 4 wins amongst 2 drivers. O Pollard with 3 wins, Marty Czekala with 1. Harrison Ponder there in the 2 car, and look who is making his way up here towards the front. He's in the top 10. That's the number 39 of O Pollard. Talk about a team with momentum. Now, last season, we ended up having 4 drivers. Nope, strike that. 6 drivers go to victory lane. No, 7 drivers. I'm sorry. 7 drivers go to victory lane in the TaxSlayer Truck Series multiple times. Nick Johnson, Marcus Aachi, Charles Jackson, Joshua Hyatt, Eli Bright, Nicholas Raill, and Jordan Lopez all went to victory lane a total of 2 times last year. Last week, O Pollard became the first driver in the TaxSlayer Truck Series to go to victory lane for a 3rd time in a single season, as Jake Smith's about to lose some spots. Opened up the door. Tristan Allen, happy to oblige. He will try and take 6th place. And short tracks, much like restrictor plate tracks, you leave the door open down low. Not one driver, but several drivers are going to line up and pass you for position. Talking about O Pollard and the run he's been having. Well, how about Nathan Stapleton? He's now the new points leader coming into this race. Only 3 points in hand, as mentioned, over Tony Green. Only 10 points in hand over O Pollard, who is now to the inside of. That would be a battle, I think, for the 8th position. And Nathan Stapleton looking very consistent. Now, it's still early. We still have 6 races after this one before we are able to determine our playoff grid. But, I mean, if Stapleton continues on these consistent runs, even if he gets only just this one win he's got so far this year, he could very well lock himself up a spot in the playoffs just based on the fact that he's so far up in the point standings with the points lead. So I think that might be the goal of this 92 team, although I'm absolutely certain they would not be unhappy going to victory lane one, maybe two more times before the season draws to a close. Speaking of drawing to a close, the 98 of Austin LaPlante did get around Ryan Acosta and is now closing in on Heather Gallant, so we may have a battle for the race lead here before all is said and done. A lot of people don't remember the fact that Austin LaPlante is a former winner not only in the Pizza Hut X Series, but also in the Hershey's Cup Series. LaPlante, if I recall correctly, was the winner of the season finale, Season 1 Hershey's Cup Series. I believe that was the case. LaPlante also was in the playoffs last season for the Pizza Hut X Series, going to victory lane a total of 2 times. He finished out that season 6th overall. And indeed, that is the case that LaPlante was the winner of the season finale at Auto Club back in Season 1 of the Hershey's Cup Series. So trying to go for the trifecta. Don't off the top of my head know if there's ever been a driver that has won a truck race, a Pizza Hut X Series race, and a Hershey's Cup Series race. I think actually the only driver I can think to off the top of my head that did complete that sweep, and it was actually this year in the Pizza Hut X Series, and that was Charles Jackson, who had a Hershey's Cup Series win as a non-charter driver at Richmond. He had a TaxSlayer Truck Series win, 2 of them actually, last season in the inaugural season. And then, of course, got a Pizza Hut X Series win earlier on this season, which I believe makes him the only driver to have won a race in all 3 of the current main NNSCRA series. LaPlante trying to be the second. I think if I can recall, some other drivers that would be close for being able to do just that would be I think one of them would have been Nick Johnson. He's got a Truck Series and Pizza Hut X Series win. Joshua Czekala has a Truck Series and Hershey's Cup Series win. So there's a couple of drivers out there that would like to be able to do that. Now, currently, Czekala's not running in the Pizza Hut X Series, and who was the other driver I was just mentioning? Nick Johnson, he's not currently in the Hershey's Cup Series, so neither one of them at this point have a shot of being able to join Jackson as a trifecta. And boy, I'll tell you what, LaPlante is still all over the back bumper, that 43. I think he might just be sizing Heather Gallant up. But we are now midway through this race. 19 laps to go, 19 laps completed. It's a short track. It's 38 laps. I don't really think pit strategy is going to come into play in this one. Maybe in tomorrow night's Pizza Hut X Series race, because the race will be a little bit longer, but to be perfectly honest, I'm going to be very surprised if these drivers have to hit pit road before the checkered flag. As short as this track is, I just don't see it happening. Plant right there might have overdriven turn 1 just the least little bit. Looked like his truck got a little tight. Went up the track just a tiny little bit. Now here's the problem for Austin LaPlante. He got by his teammate, and that's just it. It was a teammate. I think Acosta realized LaPlante was a little bit faster than him, maybe didn't race Austin quite as hard as he could have. But this is a battle for the race lead, potentially the race win. And Heather Gallant is not giving LaPlante any opportunity on the inside line. Watch how she puts her 43 right down against that yellow line through the center of the corner. That allows her to be able to stop LaPlante from getting back to the throttle sooner, getting any kind of a run to the inside to try and take away the top spot. The way it's looking with the run that Heather Gallant gets in and off of the corner, only way that LaPlante's going to be able to get by her is one of 2 scenarios. One, either Heather Gallant messes up the corner and slides up, or LaPlante tries putting a dive bomb into turns 1 or 3. It's the only way right now I can see anything happening. I mean, unless LaPlante does what he's doing right now, kind of back up his corners he might be able to get enough of a run on the front or back straightaway to be able to get to the inside, but even then I think he'd probably have to rely on a little bit of a dive bomb and maybe rattle the cage of Heather Gallant to move her out of the groove. Being a short track, you can't really rely on any draft, and so therefore, even if Ryan Acosta could get back up to the back bumper of LaPlante, I don't think that would help him out at all. Talked about the fact that this is a track where starting track position is very, very important. While we've got this battle up front, we've had some pretty good position battling going on from about the 5th position on back. Wyatt Walker is now jumped up to 5th place. Brandon Joy's up here in the 70 truck battling for the 6th position with Harrison Ponder right behind them. How about Ricky Cervantes there, that Nissan Titan looking good? And how about Henry Williams? Great run for the 62. He's currently in the 9th position. So we've got a couple of the William Brock Motorsports cars up here. Williams in the 62. Stapleton back there trying to take 10th place from O Pollard and that 13 of Wyatt Walker. So good run for a few of the teammates out of that Chevy team. Of course, Henry Williams coming into this race 9th in the point standings. He's been very consistent last couple of weeks. Still trying to get his first win of the season, though. This is basically the best battling that's going on the track right now from 4th place on back. Tristan Allen has the slot. 5th place Wyatt Walker, and this battle for 6th continues on. Brandon Joy's doing a pretty good job holding that outside line. He's been side by side with Harrison Ponder for the last 2 laps or so. Still continues on that outside line. That shows me that now that the tires have heated up and more rubber's been laid down, that outside line's actually able to work. Now that kind of throws in a little bit of a question. With that being said, do you wonder if maybe the spotter or the crew chief is radioing to the 98 team and saying, hey, that outside line's working, maybe you can use that to try and get around the 43 for the race lead. The other driver for William Brock Motorsports, not too far back. There he is, Andrew Miller. And there's Tony Green, 2nd in the point standings. Now, he's about 4 positions behind Nathan Stapleton, so he's not in line to take the points lead over. And O Pollard right now also behind the 92, so it looks like Stapleton, for the moment where he's running, would keep the points lead, but Pollard and Green are both pretty close to him, though. They're not going to let him open his points gap too much. Speaking of a gap, though, there's a bit of a gap now between Gallant and LaPlante. There's only 8 laps remaining, so if LaPlante's going to make any kind of a move, he probably better make it sooner rather than later. We've run 31 laps, well, 30 and a half laps now, completely clean and green. Been good racing through the field, but up here at the front, Heather Gallant has been able to hold off the ThorSport Toyota Tundras for a good portion of this race. Just a few more laps and she'll be en route to her first win of the season. Now, you look at where she comes into this race, 20th in the point stands. We said she's trying to target Jake Smith, who right now is 13th in points with the final playoff position. As I look here and work the calculator, the gap between Gallant and Smith coming into this race was 27 points. I don't know where Jake Smith is currently running. Obviously, if Gallant closes the deal and gets the win, there's going to be some valuable bonus points coming for her there. Oh, wait, are we under caution? We're not under caution, but there's trouble for the 21 of P Minnick. He's already on pit road. I don't know what just happened to him. I don't know if a mechanical problem just hit the 21 truck or not. Driver that came in 6th in the points. There's no caution, though, as he was down out of the way. If there was like a mechanical problem, we'll go to our NSRA split cam for you to be able to see. If not, we're just going to have to assume it was some kind of mechanical problem. He would have still been rolling if it was a fuel issue. But anyway, going back to Heather Gallant, if she does win the race, that's at least 5 bonus points she's going to get for the win. Probably another 2 bonus points for leading a lap and leading the most laps, as she's led every lap so far here tonight. So if she can just hope that the 19 has a very poor performance, Heather Gallant, with a win tonight, could very well slot up into one of those 8 playoff positions, but don't look now. LaPlante is all over her back bumper again. He's realizing time is short and he needs to make the move. 3 laps to go here at Iowa. Looking high, maybe trying to get a run off the corner to dip down low off of 2. Not going to be able to do it quite this time. He's right there. He might be too close. I think right now he's just trying to use the intimidation factor, make Heather Gallant maybe have a mistake here into one of the entries of the corner. 2 laps to go as they head through 1. Gallant 20th in the points. Austin LaPlante on the flip side, mired down in the 39th position in points. So which driver wants it more? Both looking for their first TaxSlayer Truck Series career win. And 4 more corners will decide it. White flag in the air for Heather Gallant. This team looking for their first win in their TaxSlayer Truck Series history. Shane Lake was the driver of this truck last year. Was unable to find victory lane. Through 3 and 4, LaPlante looks, he couldn't get even close enough to use the bumper. Heather Gallant, a dominating performance tonight, leads all of the laps and wins her first career race tonight in the M&M's 200 at Iowa. Big win there for Heather Gallant because it could very well have put her now in the conversation for one of the 8 playoff positions. LaPlante was close, but I think the 43 and the 98 were pretty even in terms of speed, so there was just no advantage for the 98 to be able to make a move. So now for Heather Gallant, she and her team, while they're celebrating, they're then going to have to calm down, focus on where the 19 finished, and see just how much of a dogfight it's going to be maybe for that final playoff position. I mean, there's no telling what other drivers could very well put themselves into the conversation if they go to victory lane in the upcoming 6 races. You see, Jake Smith, he's going to finish 26th, so that was at least 25 points that Heather Gallant gained. Add the 7 bonus points, that's 32-point advantage. Actually, a 33-point advantage between herself and Jake Smith. And right now, yeah, Heather Gallant would be in, Jake Smith would be out of the playoff grid heading into next week's race. So how about that? Heather Gallant with the win. Look at all the rookies up there at the top of the leaderboard. Gallant, LaPlante, Acosta, Walker sweep the top 4 spots before you get to a veteran in Tristan Allen finishing top 5 and 5th. Harrison Ponder brings it home in 6th. Brandon Joy is 7th. The consistent finishes for Henry Williams. He's 8th. 9th for Ricky Cervantes. Great run for him. And how about the points leader, Nathan Stapleton? He'll keep the points lead, finishing in the 10th position. The drivers that were trying to chase him down for the points lead finished 12th and 13th. Green and Pollard behind the 24 of Jake Moss, finishing 11th. Great run for him. Nicholas Raill, 2-time winner last season, finishes 15th behind Andrew Miller, who finishes in 14th. The rest of your top 20 were Hillary Sanchez. Nick Johnson, I guess you could call this a somewhat decent finish for him, especially compared to his last couple of races where he dropped from top 10 in the points down to 16th in the standings. He gets 17th here tonight. Joseph Romero, Patrick Smith, and Alex Hawkins will complete your top 20. Look on down through the remainder of the finishing results. And the 21 of P Minnick did retire out of the race due to a mechanical problem, a piston issue for him. He was the only driver to go behind the wall. Everybody else here, you can see, finished on the lead lap. But one driver I'm looking at right there that needed a good run, and that is Marty Czekala. He's a former winner this season that is 19th of the points coming into this race. This is going to drop him even further. Despite his win, he right now is not in one of those 8 playoff positions. And how about Ace Garcia, too? This was not a run that he needed. 34th in the standings. He came into this race in the 7th seed of the 8 playoff positions. So this could put him also in a bit of a dangerous zone, especially with the fact that Jake Smith finished ahead of him in 26th. And both of those drivers came into this race separated by only 1 point in the standings. So it could actually be Ace Garcia who is out after the win tonight by Heather Gallant. But there's still a long ways to go in this season. 6 more races. Anything can happen. And, of course, that final race of the regular season is at M&M Super Speedway. We consider that a huge wild card race. Usually plays a factor late in the season into a driver getting into the playoffs last minute. But congrats to Heather Gallant. First win of her career. First win, I believe, as well of her NNSCRA overall career as she takes the checkered flag here tonight at Iowa. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight's race. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We've shown you full finish results. These are your rookie point standings and your overall point standings heading into next week's race, or I should say next week's race in 2 weeks, because next week the TaxSlayer Truck Series is taking an off week before we'll see them back for road course racing at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Up next, though, for this weekend, we've got the Pizza X Series drivers. They'll be having their race here at the Iowa Speedway. And then Hershey's Cup Series action at a different venue. They're going dirt track racing at the Springfield Mile, just a state over in Illinois. We'll be seeing what that dirt track racing is going to be in terms of their chase towards the chase for the championship. But anyway, thank you all for tuning in to tonight's race. We will see you guys next week as you've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.